which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on to roll call.
Frank Myers, Martha Patterson, Casey Benner,
Here.
Nicole Boyer,
Here.
Mark Buckeye.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Moving on to the approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting.
I move to approve, or make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to the approval of minutes. Do you want me to do them separate or together?
We can do it together.
Okay. From our last regular meeting, which was July 26th of 2021, and our special meeting on August 5th of 2021.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to the introduction of evidence.
We have the design guidelines, city ordinances. We have a staff report on the desk, which you also received, I believe, last Thursday or Friday.
Do a motion for that too.
Yes, ma'am.
I motion to accept the evidence.
I'll make a motion. Or second. Sorry.
I have a motion and a second to accept the evidence. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to old business.
I have none.
Okay. Moving on to new business. SGHC 033-21 to receive a certificate of appropriateness to construct an ADA compliant ramp at the rear of the house, replace cellar doors at the rear of the house, and add a handrail to the front porch steps at 41 North 4th Street. Do I have anyone here to speak on that? If you could come to the podium, please, and introduce yourself.
I'm Patrick Warham, and we're trying to fix up the house for my mother.
Do we have any questions?
I've got a couple. On the front porch, or the railing, why are you replacing that one? Obviously there's a reason, I just can't see it in the pictures, that's all.
The plan is just to replace it with the same, or not replace it. We'll take that one off, paint it, and then duplicate it and put that on the other side. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I drove by earlier today and didn't notice there were two.
Yeah, I tried to provide a picture, but it's hard to see.
Well, I've seen the one.
There's only one, and I didn't know.
Right.
I've never noticed it until I walked by there.
Yeah.
So,
Then I guess the only other thing I had, with it being a contributing building, what's the reason you're using concrete as opposed to wood for the ramp?
Just because it seemed more sturdy. It is less expensive right now also, but that's not really.
And that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, that's not the biggest factor. I generally prefer the quality of a concrete ramp over a wood one and longevity.
do we have any additional questions?
That's all I had. That's the only thing I was pondering, just looking to the future on it as far as, it was on the back of the house, so.
You're not going to see
That's,
it?
Are we ready to make a motion?
A motion to approve.
Did you say second?
I'll second,
Okay.
yeah.
I have a motion and a second to approve the certificate of appropriateness. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
just a real quick discussion. If you remember last year we had, or actually this year, but from a grant from last year, we had a historic preservation workshop. I'd like to go ahead and pursue applying for a historic preservation grant. Again, there's several routes we can go. We can apply for a planning and outreach grant, which would be the same type we had, but with a different program. So they, a lot of those vendors, Bob Yap is who we have this year, provide a masonry preservation, how to make wooden storm windows, making and restoring stained glass, exterior painting, wood flooring. So that's an option. We can also pursue a National Register and Survey grant application. We had discussed, at least this body had discussed in the past, trying to add mid-century modern buildings to the list of surveyed properties in town. So the current survey goes through 1946, I believe, so that would bring it up through the 60s. That would involve surveying approximately 60 properties in town, so the cost of that goes up a little bit versus the outreach and planning. And then we could also pursue, I would need to call SHPO just to double check on this, but I believe on the planning and outreach grant, you can also, we could get a hold of the National Alliance of Preservation Commissioners. They offer training for historic preservation commissions. So whether it be parliamentary procedure or how to interpret guidelines, there are several classes that are 1 to 3 hours that could be offered to the commission, and this would help pay for that. So those are really the 3 options that we have. We don't have any major work going on as far as construction or pre-construction. So I just was looking to get your feedback on what you would like to apply for.
Well, I like that, like the one we did with Bob. I love that, the hands-on like that. I love that type of.
And when we went out to bid for that, we only received 1 bid, and it was Bob Yap.
Okay.
Now, he's very local. He's based in Hannibal, so that helps him, I guess. But we would have to go out to bid again. It might not be him, but it seemed to go over very well, and we have since shared the videos online. So
Great.
Any other thoughts?
When, with the grant, how much more do you think it's going to be for the survey?
The survey, I reached out to the company that did the survey 25 years ago. This was April of 2020. So she said for a 60 resource survey, it would be in the realm of 15 to 20,000. Now that was a year and a half ago, so that might edge up a little bit. The grant that we just completed that did the outreach program was approximately 15,000. This is a 60-40 grant, so if we get approved, 60% would come from the federal government through the state, and we'd be responsible for 40%. So that would be probably more in the $12,000 to $15,000 range.
It's not bad. I don't think so. I mean, you figure those homes are now, what, 70, getting 70, 75 years old, and they're pretty sought after. I know up in St. Louis, like Holly Hills, up in that area, they're really.
So is it in the budget somewhere that we could cover if we went with the survey option versus the hands-on portion?
What we budgeted is 15,000. That was the entire budget. So this may cost a little bit more, so we would have to kind of ask permission for that. Whereas the outreach program would be within that budget, just like it was this past year. And the budget still has to pass, which hopefully it will Thursday. It'll be a second reading.
So are we wanting to, do we have to decide one or the other, or?
We can apply for both, but we certainly haven't budgeted for that. You can apply multiple times.
Okay.
I think outreach is good because it gets people involved and it teaches them how to maintain the buildings. But on the other hand, with NPS coming in, I don't know if it's at some point going to be super relevant to do a survey of the other structures in town.
Well, I mean, there's approximately 60 that, I mean, out of, without looking back, do you know approximately how many we've had in the last year certificates, like for those properties?
Mid-centuries.
Mid-centuries,
I don't, it hasn't been many,
but there's been a few. I know there's been a few that,
handful. And those are currently considered non-contributing.
Right.
And it doesn't mean if we decide to go the outreach path, that we couldn't do something with those in a year or two.
I mean, I think we definitely need to get them in there at some point. Like I said, I mean, every decade's, you know, there's something on the structures, but
So I'm hearing a little bit of both, but outreach.
I really like the outreach. I mean, I really did. I mean, like you said, I mean, it gets the community involved. It's like, hey, do you want to learn how to do this, do that?
I think it also shows that the Heritage Commission via the city is also reaching out
Exactly.
to offer this service to you,
Right.
Whether it be windows. When we did windows and exterior woodwork this past year, we could expand on one of those, or we could do wood flooring, which seems to be popular, exterior painting. Exterior painting is a definite need.
Yeah. Makes your taxes go up.
yes, it does.
I know, I promise.
I do too. So if we would apply for both of them, what would be the time frame? Like, if do we find out that we were accepted into one or the other about the same time? So then we could pick if we were granted both?
So there's a pre-application process, which is a shortened version of the entire application. That's due September 30th. I don't have any problem getting it turned in, even though that's only, a week and a half away. And then they have to get back to us by, I believe, October 15th, and then we have to turn in a full application by November 1st, roughly. And in between there, if we were to try to go both, I would probably, well, either way, I will take it to the board, though it has already been budgeted. $15,000 has been budgeted. If we were to go over that, I would definitely want to seek permission from more involvement.
I would say shoot for both of them, I guess. And like you said, we can always say, oh, no, we're not going to do this one. If the aldermen say no, then okay, we just don't take the one.
I can turn in the pre-application for both, because that is not committing us to anything.
Right, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Okay. One thing I will, and I'll get with you, Casey, is the pre-application also typically should be submitted with a, something signed by the Heritage Commission saying that we'd like to pursue this.
Okay.
That's all I have on that. Thank you.
Moving on to administrative approvals.
Yes. There's my agenda. Here we go. We have an attestation as to material placement at 306 St. Mary's Road. There were vinyl windows on the sides and rear, and there were new vinyl windows going in. We have one attestation as to material replacement at 249 South 4th, replacing broken storm doors. Again, the storm door was of similar material and style. Same at 64 North 2nd, that was guttering. So new guttering and one additional downspout. It was not taking round gutters to K-style, they were already K-style. Another attestation at 47 South 4. Things out forward here. That was roofing, so you probably saw that project happening right up the road here. So that had architectural shingles on it, and they went back with architectural shingles. There was a sign, or there soon to be a sign at on the side of 234 Market Street. So a certificate of appropriateness was issued for that sign. Brick vinyl, it's basically a vinyl sign that sticks on the brick, and then if put on correctly, it basically looks like it's painted onto the brick.
Okay.
And we have an attestation at 198 Leahy. The owner there wants to take the roof down and work on it and then put it the porch roof and then put it back up. He's also interested in going back to turned poles, so he's going to come to us if he ends up doing that. Right now they're just boxed in and deep in down around. They need some work. He's planning to do all that work, put it back exactly how it is, but if he wants to make changes, he will come to us. Any questions on any of that?
Nope.
That is all I have.
Okay. Do we have any additional public comments? Okay. We can adjourn.
This is the fastest meeting we've had.